Today, it's another shot in our MuscleTrux series as Kevin's 94 Lightning prepares for battle. This Ford's getting a suspension overhaul with a lowering kit, traction bars, new brakes, and much better tires. We'll give it a new stance so Kevin can take advantage of all the tailpipe turbo's power. It's all today here on Trucks.
Hey, welcome to Trucks, and welcome back to Muscle Truck Wars, where we're taking the next step in the buildup of our SS454 and our Gen 1 Lightning here. And today, we get to address an issue that a lot of F-150 owners have come up against, and that is lowering the twin I-beam suspension on these trucks, making them handle even better.
And in case you're new, we started a little friendly competition this year. Ford against Chevy, and set power goals of about 400 ponies for each truck, using completely different schools of thought for each platform. For the 454, we decided to use the built-in advantage of displacement and kept the stock block, adding Edelbrock matched heads and intake, along with a Rolling Thunder cam and lifters with crane roller rockers. The EFI is a sequential system electronically controlled by an Edelbrock ECM that gives you the ability to custom tune your combination. All of that is backed by a B&M shift improvement kit on the Turbo 400, giving this truck a solid and time-tested performance package.
The Lightning's 351 is bone stock other than BBK headers and throttle body, but helping it breathe a little better is an SDS Stage 3 turbo kit mounted under the bed and routed into the new mass airflow system and Summit Boost retard module for precise tunability. All these mods, plus a looser TCI converter, B&M shift improver kit, and standalone transmission controller will hopefully fill the void of 100-odd extra cubic inch advantage that Super Sport has. But we'll find out soon enough.
Now, both trucks are more high performance than regular production versions, featuring heavy-duty drivetrain components. And the Lightning comes from Ford already sitting an inch lower than a regular stock F-150. And with the help of some aftermarket parts, we can do better, improving the handling and appearance all at the same time.
Ford's twin I-beam suspension was introduced in 1965, and it was a huge improvement over the straight axle that preceded it. And although Ford used this system in their two-wheel drive trucks right on up till 1996, it presents a unique challenge when it comes to lowering or custom suspension mods.
Now, one of the advantages of the factory I-beams is they're forged steel and very strong, with almost no flex or twist under load. So the challenge for the aftermarket was to come up with some drop beams that were both strong and consistent. DJM accomplishes this by using DOM tubing in combination with CNC cut plate steel that's welded in fixtures for quality control. Now, these drop beams, along with the DJM drop shackle and hanger kit, will give a regular F-150 about 3 inches drop up front and about 4 inches out back. Now, since the Gen 1 Lightnings already sit about an inch lower, well, we don't want to use them in combination with the 3-inch drop beams. That'll give us about 4 inches total, about an inch more than we're after. So we're going to use standard F-150 springs to give us the stance we want without any tire clearance issues. Although new hardware does come with the kit, some of the original bolts and fasteners get reused, so keep track of them.
Yeah, those are toast. If you guys remember, when we drove this truck the first time, there was a clunking noise in the front end. Well, we thought it was these pivot bushings. They're shot. Good news for us is that the Dream beams already come with urethane bushings loaded, so that'll get fixed when we put the new beams in.
Now, our DJM drop beams utilize the stock radius arms, but these bushings are toast, and there's no better time to replace them. So a quick trip to our local O'Reilly Auto Parts took care of that problem.
You usually have a choice when it comes to bushings with either urethane or rubber. Urethane is a lot more dense and gives a firmer ride and stiffer, more precise handling. This upper ball joint eccentric needs to be swapped out of the original beam into the new beam. Probably not a bad idea to chase some of this powder coat out so you have a good fit. Now we're going to kind of gamble that our alignment specs are right in the tolerance, but in case you're not, if you're doing this at home, a good alignment shop should be able to get you an adjustable eccentric that'll fix you right up.
These drop beams are well engineered and sit right in place of the original I-beams. And since this truck is not equipped with kingpins, this is a project you can probably do in an afternoon. We picked up used coil springs from Star Auto Salvage. We cleaned them up and painted them, and they'll be good as new. And they should keep our tires out of the fenders. Now, our front rotors are ready for the scrap pile, but if you're keeping your stockers, now's a great time to replace or repack your front wheel bearings. But since Kevin's going to be carrying a little bit more speed, we're going to upgrade our rotors and pads while we're at it. These EBC vented and dimpled rotors, combined with their green stuff pads, will give us more clamping power, a better pad compound, and less heat soak from all the ventilation. Plus, the black anti-corrosion coating looks pretty cool, too. Now, everybody knows the benefits of synthetic fluids, but Royal Purple also makes a synthetic grease. It'll reduce vibration and friction, letting the bearings run cooler, which leads to a longer bearing life. So that's what we're going to pack our front bearings with.
Up next, we'll make the new front sway bar mount and add the drop shackles and hangers out back. And later, it's some monster traction bars to help transfer the power to the ground. Stick around.
Hey, welcome back to Trucks. We're in the process of changing the stance of Kevin's 94 Lightning. Get it sitting in the weeds a little bit more. So far, we've installed 3-inch drop I-beams, upgraded his brakes, and replaced the crapped out radius arm bushings.
If you're wanting to make a regular production F-150 handle better, ADDCO's got a sway bar package that'll really help control body roll. But this Lightning already comes packing with a thicker front sway bar that matches the diameter of the ADDCO bar, so we're going to save a little bit of money and reuse the old anti-roll bar.
Now, if you're curious what size sway bar your truck has in it, or if you just want to make sure buying an aftermarket bar is actually an upgrade, well, here's a quick tip on measuring these things, because getting an accurate reading with a tape measure, well, it's nearly impossible. So in case you don't have some dial calipers laying around, just use the open end of a wrench, and that'll let you know exactly what size sway bar you have. In our case, one going on a 454 is 1 inch.
Now, simply due to the design of these new dropped I-beams, you're going to have to change things around a little bit. For instance, we've already swapped and reversed these end-length brackets, and what that does is get our sway bar up and out of the way of the steering linkage, which has had its location changed because of these drop spindles. And if you're lucky, that's all you're going to have to do. But as you can see, our front mounting bracket, well, it presents a little bit of a fitment issue, so we're going to have to do something different.
So here's what we came up with. Using some flat 3/16 plate, we made a couple of brackets that'll bolt to existing holes in the frame rails. Then we bent up some scrap tubing, we'll weld to those. Then we made a couple of more brackets for the D bushings on the sway bar, add a couple of gussets, we'll be in good shape.
Now, don't be intimidated when you've got to improvise a little when it comes to things like this. One solid resource we've found are the Ford truck-specific websites online, like the Delaware Valley Lightning Owners Club and the Lightning Rodder website. You'd be surprised at how many guys have modified these trucks and are willing to help you save time and money. And you might just find me and Ryan surfing the forums as well, keeping up with the trends that are out there. Now, even in stock trim, these Lightnings are pretty darn stable, and with the help of this snubber, axle wrap and wheel hop, it just doesn't happen very much. However, when you start throwing a bunch of power at this truck, like we're doing with this tailpipe turbo, well, things get a little twitchy, and transferring that power to the ground, well, it can be sometimes unpredictable. However, we've got a plan that we're going to share with you a little later on to deal with that problem. Now, these trucks come from the factory already lowered, but DJM takes that a step further with their kit, which is definitely a do-it-yourself project. It's not that difficult to do, but you better come packing with a good grinder and a good chisel, because you got some honking rivets to get rid of.
Cutting an X into the factory rivet heads with a cutoff wheel is hands down the best way we've seen of removing them. Then with an air chisel or even an old school hammer and cold chisel, you get to take out your aggressions on some metal.
Whenever you're replacing hangers or leaf springs on any vehicle, don't tighten the spring bolts down until the full weight of the vehicle has loaded the suspension. That way, your truck will sit level and won't bind the bushings in the suspension. These rear shackles have several adjustment points, but we're going on the lowest setting just to see what kind of drop we can get.
After the break, we'll install our traction bars, rear sway bar, and new shocks. Stay tuned.
Hey, welcome back to Trucks. Well, we're getting closer to being able to set this thing back down on the ground and check out our new lowered stance. But there's still a couple of points we need to address when it comes to improving the handling of these trucks.
And one of those points is traction. So Kevin's got some new tires spec'd out, since his old ones, well, they were dry rotted and pretty worn out. And since we're possibly adding over 100 horsepower to his truck, well, the demands on the drivetrain and suspension are gonna change dramatically. One way to manage those changes is with a set of traction bars.
Now, there's lots of different options when it comes to traction bars, but we wanted to use something that's proven itself on the street and on the strip. And Lightning Force Performance has been manufacturing and marketing performance parts for these vehicles and a lot of other vehicles for a long time. They really know their stuff when it comes to Lightnings. And check out these traction bars. These 58-inch long traction bars use a front bracket to saddle the frame, and the rear bracket sits underneath the axle. They're completely bolt-in, require no welding, and the kit comes with everything it takes to install them.
With the spring pack disassembled, first thing we do is ditch the leaf spring with the snubber on it, since the traction bars are going to eliminate any axle rotation anyway. Starting with the axle mount sets the location of the rest of the bar. Then, with the bar bolted in, the front mount saddles the frame, which allows you to align and drill the mounting holes. Now, typically, drilling is one of our least favorite tasks around here. But with these Ken-cut bits, no center punches needed, no pilot hole, and they cut rather quickly too. Then, just install the front mounts. The length of these bars also provides stability and enhances weight transfer, almost acting like frame connectors. Now, unlike Lightnings, regular production F-150s don't even come with a rear sway bar. And the bar ADDCO offers, well, it's a bit heavier than the stock Lightning piece, and that'll help control body roll. Not that that truck had a whole lot of that anyway. But if your truck's not a Lightning, well, the ADDCO kit comes with everything you need to add one. Luckily for us, all we need is the D bushings, the urethane end link bushings, and some of the hardware.
Any one of these mods will really help your truck handle better, but the combination of a lowered roll center, traction bars, and a beefed up front and rear sway bar work together to give you a much tighter feel to your truck with a lot more control in every aspect. Now, one of the last pieces of the handling puzzle is shock absorbers, and Bilsteins are what a lot of guys reach for when they're modifying these trucks, so we're putting them on all four corners.
One of the reasons Bilsteins work so well is their monotube design that dissipates heat to the outer tube faster. A cooler gas charge performs better and longer, ultimately giving you better performance under heavy demands.
When we come back, we're keeping our stock wheels, but we're improving where the rubber meets the road. Don't go away.
Hey, welcome back. Now, these first-generation Lightnings came with these cool 17-inch alloy wheels, and they give a signature look to these trucks that we wanted to keep. So, Kevin decided just to wrap them in fresh rubber.
These Bridgestone dualers, they're going to give us a long life and a nice ride. And with the siping and channels that are built into the tread pattern, we're going to have good dry and wet weather traction. Now, this thing is still a truck, so we wanted to keep some sidewall. So we kept the 275/60 ratio out back, but up front, we've got a 275/55 with a little shorter sidewall, which is going to help us with our lowered stance and give us a little bit more aggressive look once everything's down on the ground. Now, even with giant traction bars and brand new tires, I still don't want to disappoint any of you Ford guys when we take these trucks to the track. So we had Thompson send us some of their 15 by 10 inch lightweight aluminum wheels with a 4.5 inch backspace and a multiple bolt pattern. And we wrapped them in their ET Street tires that are DOT approved and don't require a burnout. So I don't have to give Ryan a ride.
Hilarious. Now, the stock Lightning wheels are hub-centric, but these wheels needed to be clearanced to fit the rear axle flange, which is no big deal. We just sent them to a machine shop here in town and had them opened up a bit. But it's a small price to pay for a lot of traction. Now Kevin's got no excuses. Let's see what this thing looks like. Now, everything we did today to this pickup, you can do at home in the driveway. Didn't require any out-of-the-ordinary tools, and it wasn't that difficult. You can definitely tackle a job like this.
Now, lowering this truck definitely gave it a more muscular stance. And whether you've got a Lightning or a regular production F-150, dropping it down a few inches, throwing some good tires on it, high-performance shocks, beefing up your sway bars, will you be surprised how well you can make a 4,500-pound truck handle?
Now, you guys know that aftermarket airbags on your truck can really level things out when hauling a heavy load. The airlift helper springs on this 98 Grand Cherokee, well, they've been in use for more than 60,000 miles. But manually airing them up and down can be a real pain. Well, StreetsideAuto.com has the solution for you in the form of Airlift's wireless air kit. It's an onboard automatic leveling system that includes the compressor, manifold, electrical hardware, air lines, and a digital wireless controller. This system installs easily, and once on board your truck, it automatically maintains a preset pressure in the airbags. But here's the cool part. The wireless handheld remote can control each airbag independently, so setting up for hauling's a breeze. So go to StreetsideAuto.com for more information on your particular vehicle. And while you're there, pick up the wireless air kit for just under $360. That's a small price to pay for hassle-free towing. Thanks for watching Trucks. See you guys next week.